Adam, let's turn to big tech in DC because social media algorithms facing some scrutiny from lawmakers today. We have executives from Facebook, from YouTube, from Twitter testifying before the Senate Judiciary Subcommittee. We want to bring in Dan Halley, who has been following this story for us today. And Dan, what have we learned?
Yeah, really, this hearing had to do with, as you said, the algorithms that are used to power sites like YouTube, like Facebook, like Twitter. We had general counsel from each of those companies appearing. Essentially what we heard was that the lawmakers on this particular panel were more interested in getting kind of substantive answers from the members who appeared from the various tech companies rather than kind of the dog and pony show that we've seen in the past when the CEOs are there. So they were discussing things like, look, how do we ensure that the algorithms don't allow for the spread of disinformation or misinformation or hate speech or things along those lines without running afoul of free speech? How can we do that without hurting companies' ability to make money, things along those lines. So I think this is really kind of where the rubber hits the road almost when it comes to this kind of perhaps legislation or regulation being put in place in the future, is these kinds of side hearings that don't have really the glamour of having, Mark Zuckerberg up there as a punching bag. I think this is really the kind of hearing that people should be tuning into. Obviously, not many did, except for me, because it just doesn't have the glamour of the CEOs. But again, this seemed to be more substantive than before. A lot of good conversation about what can happen or what should happen, and questions about transparency as to how the algorithms actually function. That's really one of the things that a lot of lawmakers have brought up in the past, as well as critics who want to see the algorithms that are kind of referred to as a black box really opened up a little bit more so they can be scrutinized so that people can understand why such content as hate speech is able to spread so easily throughout these platforms.
When we talk about these kinds of issues, Dan, the tech companies face, they either face Congress or they face the courts, especially when it comes to antitrust issues. What about Apple? Are they, heeding any of the warnings that someone's coming after them?
Yeah, you wouldn't think based on the different products that they're releasing or have released. On Friday, they're going to be letting out their AirTags trackers. Next month, they will have a new podcast subscription service. And right now, probably on your iPhone or soon to your iPhone is iOS 14.5. And each of those products or services kind of touch on an area where Apple is being needled for antitrust already. So with the AirTags, the company Tile, which also makes a tracking device, has accused Apple of anti-competitive practices in favoring its own AirTags over competitors' trackers like Tile on the iPhone. But Apple is still moving ahead, obviously, with the release of that product. There's the podcasting subscription service. They're going head-to-head with Spotify. They've had way kind of a terrible relationship with Spotify in the past, just by virtue of the fact that they have Apple Music. So Spotify says that they make it difficult for them to function on the iPhone. They've filed complaints in the EU about this, and they actually testified last week along with Tile in front of Congress about this. And then there is obviously Facebook and iOS 14.5. Now, with iOS 14.5, you're going to see a new feature called App Tracking Transparency, and that will provide you with information about what apps are tracking you and allow you to prevent those apps from tracking you. Now, companies like Facebook say that that's unfair. It's Apple leveraging its own ecosystem to the detriment of competitors. And so what Facebook has considered doing is filing its own antitrust suit against Apple. It hasn't gone forward yet. Nothing has been done. But it just shows that despite the existential threats that Apple faces, they refuse to back down and will continue to move forward business as usual. And according to the experts that I spoke to, that just makes more sense.